But I'm here now.
We're live.
We are live.
Podcast in a society divided by black and white arguments. We are here to explore
The world of gray.
I am Kelowna's Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler.
I am the Flow, Mike Chisholm, and we are happy to have you on here. I'm going to put on Facebook right now a viewing party from my Facebook so other people can join us, and this is just great.
Watch
it is good to
party.
see you.
Hashtag watch party.
Watch
So,
party.
we've been talking a lot, not like in a philosophical.
Yeah.
We did commentary for Big West Wrestling last night. So if you want to go to the Meat Market Podcast page or to any of our personal pages, you will be able to find the links to both the pre-show and the show itself.
Yes,
The pre-show is just our beautiful faces. The actual show is all the in-ring action
that's true.
from Adventure Awaits at the East Kelowna Hall, which record-breaking numbers for that hall. The
Yeah, they
most
said attendance
people we've-
record.
Attendance record.
a
Packed
wrestling
house.
show.
Can't see your face.
Of a wrestling show ever. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get my. I don't know why I can't get my.
Father's Day to all the dads out there. Jade Roberts joining us. He is a
Happy
father
Daddy's Day.
himself. Happy Father's Day to you, Jade Roberts. It is your day. Make your kids spoil you. Hopefully they gave you breakfast in bed. If not, trade them in for new kids.
Oh no,
All
that's not true. Come on.
right. So yeah, we're talking about all things that we're also talking about men's mental health.
There we go.
Mike Chisholm is a big advocate for men's mental on the pipes here, which we are going to get into and talk about that. We're not trying to single out any one gender.
No.
This is just the topic we've chosen today. We will
Well-
probably we can talk about all mental health, but we will probably do a broader topic in the near future.
Yes. This project that Candace is, I'm just the happy husband that's along for the ride watching the genius at work. Candace and Shannon building He Changed It. It's going to be a global brand. It's going to be a global movement. At the end of the day, we've got all sorts of things happening, role reversals in the family, role reversals in the genders, even the idea of genders themselves are being challenged, and it's less words is not what we need. We need more words about that. And as I say, we need more words about that. Colin Cutler gets up and walks away. I probably offended him talking about the fact that we need more words. Oh, no, wait, I didn't offend him. All he was doing was going and getting his baby. It's Happy Father's Day.
Even want to go to work today.
No, we got Daisy
Lazy
in here, though.
But Daisy just can't really be viewed. Daisy, come here.
There's Daisy here.
Come here.
You can look at the Daisy.
Oh, you want to go up there? Okay.
Yeah, Daisy goes where Daisy pleases. Much like my wife, a happy adventurer, but she always returns home.
There we can. I like it.
That was a lot of fun last night at that show. We should put a link up to the commentary of that show. If you
Ooh.
want to see Colin and I do wrestling commentary, or actually more accurately, if you want to stride about 5 minutes before the show ends. No, I mean,
Ha!
no, it was really good. And then you were a part of the show, which is really neat. We were doing commentary the entire time, doing our best to have this mental telepathy, had it a few times. It was really good. And by the end of the show, I did not realize, but Colin actually was a part of the show. He actually got involved. He went into
Couldn't help myself.
went into business for himself, as we like
You
to say.
called it.
I did call it. Went into business for himself and then attacked the Thrash Wrestling champion, Camaro Cope.
Yeah, we'll.
It was really good.
We had Team Surrey versus Team Okanagan. Team Okanagan coming out on top, but I couldn't help myself. Thrash Wrestling champion, my student Camaro Cope, was trotting around the ring like he was better than everyone, and wanted to shake my hand, which I did just as a ploy to distract him, and then need him in the face because he's
Oh.
garbage. and
No.
he doesn't deserve that title.
No.
Actually, to be honest, he's a really tough competitor. I mean, he's Thrash Wrestling champion. He's
Sure.
hard to keep down, but
You checked out the pre-show yesterday, did you?
I did not watch it. No.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch
To
it
see if it stayed connected. It
Yeah,
looks like
no,
we're
I
still
don't know.
connected here.
It does appear that way. See, right now on our main screen, it says trying to reconnect, but on the watch party, although no, that one's frozen now.
Mm.
I think we're out. And we've got to come back. How can we refresh?
Ooh, good call. Let's try that.
Yeah, let's try and refresh. Does that work?
No idea.
Come on, reload. Yes, reload. We want to reload. We're reloading. We're reconnecting.
Mm.
Oh, it says the live still. So you go to live. See down halfway down the page, it still says live on the left. On the left, the other left. Up there. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it says live. And so we scroll down, and what do we see? Chaos.
Yeah, but that's just our
That's the
live
original.
video.
Yeah. It says broadcast interrupted now, so I guess we got to go live again.
Sweet Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
This is frustrating. Should always copy or just copy the description, just in case.
Yes.
So annoyed right now. Somebody give me give me the option.
But it still says live there. Four comments, 2 shares. Oh, those are our shares. What when you keep scrolling down though, it says live. See that?
That's just gonna show us the live video. It's not. Oh, there we go.
It does appear that way. It does appear that way. See, right now on our main screen it says trying to reconnect, but on the watch party, although no, that one's frozen now. I think we're out. And we've got to come back. How can we refresh?
Ooh, good call. Let's try that.
Yeah, let's try and refresh. Does that work? Now it says live video interrupted. Okay, can we go back up and
No idea.
Come on, reload. Yes, reload. We want to. It worked for a second. Start again. Oh, YouTube. Hey, YouTube, you just gotten a bunch of crazy, stupid bonus material.
Oh, YouTube that nobody watches.
YouTube that nobody watches. This is an interesting. Okay.
Oh shit, nobody watches it. Like this cluster.
Although we also don't promote it.
I'm tempted to just like hook up the internet with a giant cord. There you go.
That's always the better way to go. Are we live right now? Okay. Just copy that. Rush like Tom Sawyer.
Right. Party. Daisy, you're not hurting. You're Daisy.
Hey.
And we're back.
Yeah. For how long? Who knows?
Who knows?
That's why we got to be grateful for every moment that we have, my friend.
I like
because
it.
you never know how long things might just go bam. Imagine if we were living in a simulation. Imagine if we were living in something not unlike the Matrix, and then suddenly there was a video interruption.
Thanos theory.
Maybe that's what sleep is. Maybe sleep is the video interruption.
That's a whole nother podcast. I could go off about the origins of reality, but today on the World of Great podcast, video 2, because we got interrupted via Wi-Fi issues. We are talking about all things dads, and we are talking about mental health, men's mental health specifically today. So Jade Roberts is so loyal. He's come back to video 2.
Yep.
He was saying that his kids do breakfast in bed every year. Jade Roberts, what did your kids make you this year for your Father's Day breakfast?
Are you waiting for Jade to answer? Because I don't believe he's hooked up in a way where he can answer.
We do not have to wait for him to answer.
That's
I'm just throwing that question out.
Okay.
So Father's Day, you got big plans for you and your dad. That's why we're doing this early. We both have plans with our fathers.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, my plan is that I'm taking my dad along with my mom because, well, it'd be awkward if I didn't, I guess. Mom and dad, we're going down. They're coming to our house, and then we are going with the next generation with Nico and Jess, and we're going and the baby Alara, and we're going downtown to eat at Craft. I believe on the patio. Have you been to Craft yet?
I have been to we do staff
spot.
meetings there every now and then.
It's a good spot, man. It's a really, really good spot. And we're gonna go chill out there for a few hours, eating and feeling as a family unit, enjoying the fathers, and then we're going to probably walk around the car show. There's a car show going on down at City Park, and we're gonna go walk through there. A lot of exotic cars, a lot of old cars, a lot of very cool cars. Yeah. How about you?
We are going to the driving range. Me and my father.
Mm-hmm.
You and me are very lucky that we have fathers that are supportive, and you know, me and my dad are like best friends.
That's very good.
That doesn't always. Not everyone is advantaged, and gets to have a positive father figure in their life.
And it's an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really important thing. You know, we live in a society where they're saying that many people are saying, I shouldn't say they say, there are many people that are saying that they're challenging gender roles, they're challenging you know, the roles of individuals and humans in society. And I'm looking around going, okay, yeah, but I'm really glad that I had a strong male father figure in my life to help me negotiate through some of the pitfalls that show up in life, because I believe that those pitfalls many times can be related to in a way where it is a specific gender.
So when you're talking about gender role reversals, the male psyche,
in my opinion, the feminine power is rising, and I love it. I'm really, really happy about that. The way
Carrie, you bruised from Carrie was in the middle of the Colin Cutler Camaro Cope scuffle.
Yeah, she was. Merchandise table, thousands of dollars of merch thrown around, and Carrie right at the center of that chaos. However, to go back to in our country's lifetimes, generations where you've had this dynamic where men are kind of running shit, and what's happening now is that the feminine power is rising, and that is such a good thing, because the way I look at it, we've only been running at 50%.
Right.
You know, and if you get that other 50%, and that other 50% has talents and abilities that can far exceed what the status quo was doing, that is an amazing thing. However, that by status quo to be made in a positive way, in my opinion, are men need to kind of understand what's happening as this shift is happening, and how we can reshuffle our brains while still staying ourselves and staying positive and staying in a productive contribution to society.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of room for discussion here, but I think having a positive male role model helps with fathers now are becoming fathers. We need to get our heads around this new paradigm, so that we can then educate the next generation. This is this expansion contraction that I always talk about, so we can get to a point where everybody understands how to live within their roles in a peaceful way without being so divided, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely some room for discussion. Jade Roberts talking about how he grew up without a dad, and this actors can actually, in the long run, come out as a positive if you are in the right mindset.
Yes.
But sometimes they can make you feel, they can give you the wrong idea of how a father should be, or they can give you a bad connotation, and then you can kind of project that onto either your kids or just other people within your own life. So I think other experiences outside of that will play a factor.
Yes.
For how you digest.
Not everything is our fault, but everything is 100% our responsibility.
Right.
You know, like the bad stuff that happens, sometimes bad stuff happens and it's not our fault that bad stuff happened, but it's our responsibility as to what we're going to do and how we're going to react from that. Yeah. And I think that what you're talking about, you got these cycles that sometimes people go through. People come from abusive relationships. People come from places where they were treated unfairly, or perhaps even there were substances involved, things like that. it's that person's responsibility whether they're going to. Dad was one who, and he's nowhere near perfect by any stretch of the imagination. My dad has anger issues. He's got some rage issues and things that, thank goodness he's been working on over the last few years. My mom, most thankful than anybody, because she's the one that has to live with him. But that being said, he grew up in horror. My dad grew up in horror. He was actually on his own from 15 years on.
Wow.
He was that guy. And the horror that he grew up in had everything to do with, there was alcohol, there was gambling, there was, of course, and he chose in a lot of ways to break that cycle, not in every single way possible, but in many ways. Like, I never saw my dad touch a drop of alcohol. And the reason he didn't touch a drop of alcohol, we didn't have a drop of alcohol in our house as I grew up. Not a drop. It was an interesting experience seeing it in other people's houses, but not seeing it in ours. And that was a conscious decision that my dad made to break that cycle. Good on him for that. And I think all of us at some point, when we accept that things are our responsibility, affect that next generation, whether positive or negative.
Yeah, and we're getting into the realm of mental health here. And I think being willing to take the first step to get help or to change your behaviors is really important. However, as I've learned in management training, however, I do feel like,
moreover,
I do feel like putting the blanket of, oh, well, everyone has free will, so they should just make better choices, is a bit of a detriment to pushing more empathy. We do need a little bit more understanding, especially if you've never gone through any mental health issues. Dane from Big Brother, we did that podcast, and he has a really good line. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay in that state of mind.
100%.
But sometimes we need help getting out of that state of mind. So if you have gone through this and come out the other side, this is why I think these conversations are so important. Change it.
Yeah, that's what He Changed It's going to be. A huge part of that is you take something and you leave something.
Right.
And the things that you leave many times can be nuggets of wisdom, not by psychologists, not by authors, not by licensed professionals, but people who are actually going through stuff and have gone through stuff. People who have gone through a storm, guess what? They got a story that they can tell about that storm.
Yeah.
And that can help people not go through similar storms of their own. Very, very powerful mentorship. And that's what they focus on. But at the end of the day, I think we miss the point sometimes when it comes to that. It's I don't know if that, all right. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, no, we talk about mentorship training and things like that when we go to management school or what I'm trying to put synergy into our businesses. But why can't we do that into our lives? And why don't we make that a priority? In my opinion, that's the stuff that should be taught in schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The He Changed It Act, I think breaking the stigma when it comes to mental health is so important, because with males specifically, I feel like sometimes to express how you're feeling is a sign of weakness. That's the perception.
Many of us have been told that. Many of us have been told that. Like, and I mean, not even in so many words. Like if I say I'm feeling sad today, a group of guys don't come up to me and say, "Hey, don't talk about being sad," like kind of like using the N word, right? Yeah, you don't use the N word. It's an intangible thing where my buddy, okay, so my buddy told me about this story where a coworker of theirs is in the hospital dying. Mm-hmm. He's in the hospital right now. He's got a horrible condition. He's in bad shape. And there's 4 or 5 guys that work with this gentleman all the time. Mm-hmm. They went out for beers the other night and wings. And they had a good time. They talked. They were as men. Not one person brought it up. Yeah. But he said flat out, "I know we're all thinking of." He opens up and he goes, "I know how it's making me feel inside." And if the 4 of us would have started talking about that right then and there, yeah, maybe a tear or two would have been shed. But also, how much would we have emptied the glass of the stuff that's piling up? And that was a really powerful, vulnerable statement for him to say that. And he's exactly right. I think that is a microcosm of what is going on with, I would say, the vast majority of men out there.
And do you also think that when I was younger, it wasn't just mental health, a lot of issues that would come up we were the sweep under the rug. We were still in the sweep under the rug generation. Sure. Like when I went through my abuse issues when I was really young, it was just never really talked about as I got older. Yep. Right. And so I know for me that a lot of my mental health issues come from that time when I was 3 and don't really remember what happened.
Yes.
But when I was still in that younger age, right? Like when I was 6, 7, 8, because I know when my parents got divorced, I was in this state of just suppressing everything.
Sure.
Every emotion I had. I spoke at 3 grandparents' funerals and didn't shed a tear. Like I was bottled and locked. And it's something that at, you know, in my late 20s, early 30s has been a really hard thing to overcome and to pull the cows in
2015. So only a few years ago.
Well, no, I've always known I was bottled up.
You
but
knew.
I
So you
didn't-
actually
oh, yeah,
consciously
yeah, yeah.
knew there was an
Oh,
awareness.
for sure.
There was an awareness there.
I took pride in it. I mean,
Interesting.
pride may not be the best word, but like I wore it like a suit of armor, right?
Right.
Like I wore it as it was a defense. I knew it was a defense, but I was like, yeah, no matter what happens, like I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Mhm.
I'm not going to burden other people with my problems. And that's not
Is that the thing? Is my problems and
mostly my parents.
And at the end of the day, though, if you think about most people, I don't know about you out there, I don't know about you, but I think I know about you actually. When I'm a friend to somebody, one of the things that I am kind of at is at the ready, as long as, you know, if I can be available or whatnot to help somebody out, I want to help them out. And I think most people who are friends are that for their friends. But the ironic part is, even though we are willing to be that for our friends, we don't ask our friends to be that for us.
And that always just wanted to help others and never kind of dealt with them. But the thing is there's outlets now, right? And in 2015, when I started having panic attacks and my anxiety was so bad that I was just literally in a frozen state of panic, and I was just shut down. Really, that's what happened. It was years and years of doing this, and one more thing happens, and I just shut down.
Yeah,
and
that's the end of that.
I just my nervous system couldn't deal with it anymore. But I just discovered myself out of that state is there's other ways to deal with it other than talking to friends. I'm not saying that's a great outlet.
Sure.
But
what are some of those ways?
I end up going to counseling.
There you go. So there's professional ways.
Yeah, drinking is not the answer. I tried that. But I ended up.
Did you try drinking? Did you seriously you upped your intake of alcohol
not
thinking that this could make you
that time, but I have used alcohol as a short-term fix for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Does it work?
In the short term, yes.
It does.
In the long term, it's
Is
not
that why it's such
so you can get through a certain time, right? Like let's say that anxiety was because you had a work project or something, right?
Sure.
And just you get home at the end of the night and you just, you know, drink to numb that stress, and then you're done that work project and you pull yourself out, or I don't know, you broke up with a girl, maybe not like divorce, but you broke up with someone and you just
or a boy,
never know. Boy, yeah. And you just need to kind of get through that in the short term. Listen, I've read articles and these short term, and sometimes you want to just have a drink and numb it. Sure, that can help in the short term. And if you're the type of person that has a lot more awareness and you just are dealing with something short term and then you pull yourself out when you're ready, I mean, the article I was reading is saying that's perfectly fine. However, it's not a long-term solution. And if you're stuck in this perpetuate state of depression and anxiety, there's professional outlets where you can help pull yourself out. And her name, I swear her goal every time was to make me cry.
And did she succeed every time?
Yeah. Well, no, not every time.
She played you like a fiddle, did she?
Not every time, but that was a big part of it, right? Is I was emotionally locked down, so I just refused to cry in front of people. And she sat me down. She explained to me the science behind tears. Right. It's trying to get rid of cortisol. It's trying to get rid of your stress hormone, right? And stress, and that's.
Wouldn't it be cool if the way you got rid of cortisol was like shooting lightning out of your hands like the emperor? Tears. I mean, tears is like, okay, well, all right, that's handy, I guess, but shooting lightning out of your fingers would be really awesome.
Or just
fucking.
Or you just got really fast.
Yeah,
like
really
Flash.
fast. Oh yeah,
like the Flash.
Oh, I'd run everywhere. Let's get stressed so we can get fast.
I'm just big on breaking the stigma, right? And the crazy thing, people that kind of bring it up, you'll be amazed at how many people are going through the exact same thing that you're going through.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing I've learned in the last 4 years.
Community,
and it's not like I'm going around telling people like, hey, what's up? I'm depressed. Do you want to like talk about it? It's just having honest conversations with people and just being open when they're being open. But you will be amazed at the amount of people that are going through similar, if not the exact same thing you're going through. And I think as men,
the childhood, like think about, like, let's take mental illness out of this for a second and put it to something that maybe people can relate to a little bit more. I think about drugs and I think about sex. Okay. And I think about when we're
Love
kids.
both those things.
Well, there you go. Everything in moderation, including moderation. You think about drugs, you think about sex, and think about being a teenager, and you think about going through your world, which is for most people in North America at that age is high school. And you think about high school, and within the walls of that institution, seeing kids at those ages start to experiment with drugs and start to experiment with sex. And many times, and I'm not saying every time, because one of the things I value, or I really, really envy almost, is the relationship that some kids have with their parents where they can talk about all of this stuff. But in my experience, we were teenagers that were going through this on our own, and our parents in a million years would not have understood that. Not even close. Not even close. Because 15, 20, 25 years older than us, our parents have seen what we've seen. There is nothing new under the sun. Nothing at all has not been broached in the past. Way more than what we in our little minds are understanding as that understanding grows.
Well, you think
mental
you know
illness is the same
you
thing.
know everything.
Absolutely.
When you're that age.
You think you know everything, and the first time you experience something, no one else could have possibly experienced it, much less your parents or other. And it's comical almost. I think mental illness is the exact same thing. I think when we start to break down those walls and start talking about these things together and realizing, oh, wait a second, you've done that too, or you've felt that way too, or then suddenly walls just break down, and it becomes this this place of community, and that's what community really is. And
acceptance, and really at the end of the day, that's what we all want and need, and we all just want to be included. We talked about this before. Right, is not feeling like you're able to participate in society, and it's not just economic exclusion, it's
FOBO,
social
fear of being left out.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned social media, and this is something that is getting kind of scary, especially because we've talked about the mechanisms that social media have to bring you back, right?
Yes.
That dopamine feedback loop.
Yep.
But now they're starting to discover how this is going to start affecting our either getting addicted to our social media, or we're just getting emotionally drained from social media.
Yeah.
Then you factor in outrage culture that we're in right now, where like 90% of comments and posts are shitting on someone.
I don't know if it's 90, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. Well, and it depends on your feed, right? We're talking about algorithms.
I look at our comments from our listeners.
Yeah, which is super positive, but this is because this is the environment we're trying to breed.
For sure.
But everyone is breeding their own echo. You're going to see, and it's just going to be the slow spiral down.
Yes.
But we know that a few of the founders of Facebook that helped design the algorithms and design Facebook to feed off of that dopamine feedback loop, they're really starting to have concerns about people's mental health too.
Absolutely.
And one thing that they admit they never really factored in is how this affects the developing brain. So Mike Chisholm, my question to you is, in 10, 20 years from now, where are we going to be at with this?
I think this is the seatbelt issue. I think that they invented cars, and they were like, cars are awesome. They're going to change everything. And, let's give the horses a break for a while. Cars are going to change everything. And then people started dying. And it's like, oh man, got to build some seatbelts. And I think that right now we're at the place where it's like people are installing their own seatbelts when it comes to social media. Personally, right. I'm on this quest to master my habits, and I've been on it since about March 5th. And one of the things that I've added into my habits, a seatbelt, my own self. I don't and the things, it's not my phone itself, it's the things that are on the phone, social media, probably being chief among those things. I think that seatbelts are going to be installed in this moving forward for society. Whatever those seatbelts might be, they're already sending out reports as to how much time you're spending. They're creating awareness for you. Hey, did you know you spent 14 hours this week on Facebook? And I mean, I've never had a count that high, but I know there are people who have, but there are some people who are going, whoa, and they're waking up a little bit going, that's 14 hours I'm never going to get back.
I feel like a lot of the people that are realizing that they're spending too much time, though, are adults.
Sure, of course.
So
Facebook came up when we were adults.
But my question is, when we have young individuals from a young age making social media just a part of their social echo chambers, or are they going to have that awareness? Are they going to care? Or is it just going to be is it just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse? And at what point do government regulations have to step in and put warnings on social media like cigarettes.
Sure.
Every time you log in, hey, do you know that spending this amount of time causes this effect?
You know, and on the micro level, that seems just wow, like so big. On the macro level, you look at tobacco. In another 100 years, it'll be a blip. And I think this is probably going to be the same thing. Like, even if it gets to the point where it's like, holy cow, you've got to be a certain age, and you got to be able to prove it, and they start regulating that thing, like almost like a, you know, make it like a restricted movie or something like that, you know, like, and you put up a lot of safeguards for people, limit people, however that looks like. Right now, that seems daunting. 100 years from now, that won't be, because at the end of the day, part of that evolution is a certain part of the population getting into fentanyl, killing themselves off. Certain part getting into Tide Pods. You know, like some of these things happen, and then the consequences happen from it, and we react from it. And that's on a macro level. I think that's where things are at. From a micro level, though, we're involved in this, and we're seeing our lives change. There's a scene in one of the Terminator movies. I forget which Terminator movie it is. One of the dumb ones, in my opinion. And it was them back in 1984 when the original Terminator from 1984, wherever city they were in, and the moment they flipped over, it was walking through a mall or walking through a crowded cityscape, and people were just on their phones doing this, doing that, and just the contrast of what people look like in 1984 and how they were acting to how they were acting in 2016, 2017, whatever year it was shot. It was an amazing piece of filmmaking. I highly recommend anybody just look at that one scene in that one Terminator movie. Don't watch much more of it, because it'll just frustrate you, especially if you're a Terminator fan. But that shows me how things can react and change back the other way if it needs to happen.
Right. And one last thing I want to, just on the social media topic, we're talking about like potential regulations and warnings on social media, but really those are technical solutions. And yes, technical solutions are important, but I think we need to think more of as an adaptive society solution that we need to work on, as in changing the behaviors. And this is something from a systems view of cultural changes, we don't worry so much about, you know, putting messaging out to get people to change the behaviors. We just go, oh, we'll just throw this regulation on and this regulation on.
That's a great point.
I think we really need to encourage all human beings to be better, to focus more on themselves, and why is this important, and why do we have to have these changes?
That's where He Changed It is coming in, actually. That's what Candace and Shannon are building, is a place where we kind of circumvent all of the idea of regulations and stuff. It's unbelievably civil. You know, and I'm sure there are corners that can contradict exactly what I said, but I'm sure there are, of course there are. But if somebody wants to go and have a positive experience on Reddit, the community actually monitors itself in a lot of ways. Yeah. And that's a very cool thing. If you can get a community of people together where they're all kind of like-minded in the sense of they want to create a certain standard, want to get to a certain place, want to communicate certain ideals, want to share certain things, et cetera, et cetera. And that's community takes care of that.
It's actually Robert Sapolsky was a neuroscientist that I absolutely love listening to, and he did a study on this baboon tribe. And I've probably talked about it a little bit before, but
I like saying baboon.
This baboon tribe was started mostly males, and they were very hierarchical. Yeah, and the males really dominated the tribe until a good majority of the alpha males ended up with tuberculosis and died. Altruistic. Wow. Where they all took care of each other. Not saying that men are the problem. That wasn't the point here.
No, but the balance shifted, and then so too did the behavior.
Aggressive. But when new alpha males tried to come into the peaceful community, they were literally beaten into submission.
They weren't having it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like we were talking about the Reddit, is where people go, no, this is our safe space, this is our community, this is positive for us, don't come in here and muddy the waters. But I think the great thing about apps like He Changed It is we're getting more solutions. The more of these solutions will happen, right? Yes. The more results we get from positive solutions. So Jade Roberts talking about psilocybin being the future. There's states in the that have legalized mushrooms. This is the drug for mushrooms, and psilocybin has had more positive effects for mental health in one dose long term than any other drug in history.
How crazy is that?
Meaning, when they did the studies, these individuals took one dose of psilocybin, and
that's exciting. That's exciting that we're hacking through what the corporate giants are telling us. And I mean, at the end of the day, when a lot of money, a lot of marketing dollars, a lot of marketing efforts, a lot of savvy is aimed at a populace, sometimes it's hard to sift through that. But here's things like that is just, it's encouraging to me.
Yeah. So we'll make this a short one today. We're going to slowly wrap this up. I think the mental health issue is something that we can come back.
Oh, I'm sure it won't take much convincing.
Video
He's a gem.
Chat in.
He's a gem.
Dane Rupert, the winner of the last season 7's Big Brother Canada.
Forging a relationship with the Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler, and the Flow Mike Chisholm. Forging this relationship with him. And
I am a mark for Dane.
You're a mark for Dane,
as they would say. No, he's a great guy, and he's a big advocate for the mental health awareness movement.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get him on, if anyone else wants to leave us some comments, follow up. So hopefully everyone has a great Father's Day. Tell your dad you love them.
Yep.
Tell your friends you love them. Tell your family you love them. Because really, at the end of the day, for proper mental health, we all just want to feel loved, and we all just want to feel included.
You know, and forgive. Some of you out there have estranged relationships with your fathers. You know what? Do some forgiveness. I'm not saying it's going to change anything, except for what it'll do for you is it'll let go something, and you'll have RAM in your head that's free to move out of. You can, whatever situation you came through, try and take good out of it, even if that good is reacting, so you become a better person, so you don't have to subject somebody to what you went through, whatever that is, and have some forgiveness, have some gratefulness. And
we all just need a little bit more positivity in a world divided by black and white arguments. We are here to explore the world of gray. I'm Kelowna's Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler.
I, the Flow, Mike Chisholm, wish you a fantastic Father's Day.
And if you like us, hit the like button, share.
Later, yo.
We had to do 2 videos today.
Bonus content for the YouTube.